Hello everyone and welcome to Call Sign Charlie Models. Time for the first week of the Panavia Tornado, the Italeri IDS kit that I'm converting into a GR1. So initially I got the ejection seats cut off of the casting blocks right here, and these look absolutely amazing on that, just on the detail alone, and I cannot wait to get paint and decals on those as well. And then moving on to the cockpit. So I did have the Red Fox Studio 3D printed decals for it, but come to find out, to my fault, was that this kit is actually for the Revell Tornado and not the Italeri one. And it does not come even close to fitting, as you can see in this piece right here. Just nowhere near that. There's no way that I can shape that or form that to get that to fit on there. So what I'm going to have to do is, I do have the Edward space set for the GR4. So I'm thinking I'm just going to go ahead and use this set right here. There's going to be some airs in it, but unless you're really looking up close and personal and you are a tornado expert, you're not going to know the difference. I mean, we'll know here on this channel, but other than that, when people are just looking at it at a show or in my house, they're really not going to know the difference. So it doesn't really worry me 100%. Plus, it's in the cockpit, so I mean, it's kind of visible, but not that visible. And the main differences are on the front instrument panel and the co-pilot's instrument panel. So what I did is I went ahead and I started sanding off some of the detail on the instrument panels. I'm using my Tamiya file right here. These seem to work really well. You get nice flat surfaces when you do this with this file versus using a standing stick. And I'm just going in there, and also with the file, it does take it off relatively quickly on here. So I'm just gonna keep on going on this, and I'll be back. I'll talk here as soon as I get done doing all the detail on here, because after this we have got to remove all the detail from like the cockpit tub, these instrument panels, and then some more stuff, and then we have some photo etch to add into the cockpit tub as well, along as getting some photo etch ready to go on top of the 3D printed decals. Alright, so let's get to work on this. Alright, so the first instrument panel is cleaned off right here. I do have a little bit more right down here to take care of. A couple swipes on that, and that should be good. Alright, so we got this one all cleaned up and ready to go. I'm going to have to paint along here. Paint all the sides, just so that way the decal goes on here, but you can still see these sidewalls right here. So again, just moving right along. Going to clean up this cutter right here, and then hit it with the file real quick. There we go. That part's cleaned up. Now we're on to the next part, which is over here. And then just repeat. We're going to cut off all of this stuff like it says in the instructions. Okay, so this is the second piece ready to go. Alright, now onto the cockpit tub. So we do have to remove a lot of pieces. We got to leave this little hub right in here. Actually, we got to cut this piece off, as we see right in here. Got to cut this little pad. Let's see if I can do it. Gotta get this pad cut off, and then also this piece right in here cut off as well. So we're gonna go ahead and take care of that first before we start doing all the filing. And I gotta figure out what tool I'm gonna use. I'm thinking I'm gonna use my razor saw, which is right here. I gotta angle it so that way. Okay, that one's not gonna work. Okay, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take care of some of this detail around it that's blocking me from getting a good flush saw angle to it. Alright, so we got that little piece cut off right in there, as you can see. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set it aside in my bin. It's going to be painted separately. Now what we can do is we can go in, and also I need to cut off this little lever right in here. So what I'm going to do is, using the same technique, I should be able to get it with this although. Cut off, so that one also goes in the bin to be painted separately. We can also move these instrument panels into that bin, getting that set aside so that way it doesn't get lost or anything. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all of this detail right through here. It looks like on the instructions, got everything ready to go. Alright, so again with the file, just moving it right along. Doesn't look like we remove. Yes, we do remove this piece right in here. Alright, now moving on to the rest of it. We want this to be nice and flat and smooth. Alright, that should be good enough for that one. I'll move over to the other side. I think the front cockpit area is almost done. I also want to check something, because I think do sit a little high. I think I'm going to knock down these center posts right here where the ejection seats go on. I think I'm going to knock them down just to the first layer right in here to bring down the ejection seats, because they do sit a little bit high because of these blocks right here. And this is where I believe the landing gear wheel well is going to sit into here. But also I'm using the Aries one, so I'm not going to have to worry about that. But I'm going to go back to removing the detail onto here. Okay, so I'd say the side detail on here is cleared up enough. So I'm going to come back, and before I start adding the photo etch parts to this, I'm going to take care of these little bumps right here. But moving on, we have a couple more pieces to prep on here. So we have this piece right here. Alright, so the only part that goes on here is this front face right here. Not worried about the bottom detail. So I'm going to go ahead and do my preliminary cut just to knock off some of the switches. There we go. And then go in here with my file. That part's cleaned up. Then I think what I'm going to do is, because it's the same color, we're going to let that part dry, and then after that's dry I'm going to come in with some liquid mask. I'm going to mask that clear part off, and then after that's dry, then I can attach it to the front dashboard, and then that will be ready for paint. But till then, so I guess what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back and I'm going to take care of these humps in the cockpit. Debating on getting my Dremel out and doing that with that, but I don't want to mess up these take the chance of messing up the sidewalls. Do a test on this, see how it looks now. I think that looks a lot better. Possibly even go all the way down. Check reference. Okay, so looking at reference, it looks like the seat right here, where the seat cushion is right on line with the actual side panel right here. So I think with this being cut off, I think we're about right there on that. But this one is definitely way too high. So definitely going with this. I think we're going to do a little bit more cleanup on, bring it down just a little bit. So you only need to do this part if you're using the resin ejection seats. If you're using kit parts, you don't need to worry about this, because the kit parts are going to sit in and around these humps right here. So the only reason why I'm doing this is to help with the resin ejection seats. Change out the head. Let's do another test on this front, see how it looks. Still a little high. that's looking better now. As you can see, right about the right height right there. Once I get it all glued in, yeah, it should be sitting right like that. So, all right, so we got that issue fixed. Got a few more parts to prep, but I think what I'm going to do first is, first off, I'm going to clean all the dust off my table. Alright, so now we got photo etch parts to do. Alright, so let's get started on this photo etch. I got that. We got 40 and 41. Okay, so those two photo etch pieces are ready to go. Get our glue ready. Just a little bit of glue on here. And we'll start. Alright, so we got the first two photo etch pieces on. They're just a couple little boxes that go on the sides right there. Probably like for holding charts and checklists and all that. So got those done. Let those set for a little bit, and then we have one more piece to go onto the front cockpit, which is number 46. I think I might get some like charts or something like that, print it up and then just fold them in there, and then also like some just pieces of paper throw in there, kind of look like they get some checklists and stuff in there. Hardly be able to see it, but you know, it'll be there. But that does it for this part. I'll be back in 1 second after lunch, and also I'm going to start working on the Catalina for a little bit. So up next, when we come back, we are going to be getting the liquid mask on this piece, and then that also attached. Then we have more photo etch parts to add on to the or get ready for the cockpit. So like we got these pedals right here to add in. We got the rudder pedals to do. This box, a couple boxes right here, and then after that we got to start working on the getting these cleared up and ready for the decals as well. So after all that's done, we can start painting on the cockpit, getting that ready to go, and we'll be moving right along. So I will be back in 1 second to start working on the rest of the cockpit. Okay, and we're back with the Tornado, and it is time to start some work on the cockpit. I got everything sanded down and painted. I know it does look rough, but we're going to have these decals that go over the panels, so it's really not going to show any of the sanded parts right in here. So got to cut all of these off, and then I'm going to go one at a time following the instructions, and we're just going to work panel by panel on here. So first we got the main one, which is number 2 right here. So get this cut off. And the way I do this is I just soak it like a normal decal. Sometimes it will fall right off the paper, like so. Just set it to the side for a little bit. And then what we're going to do is we're going to spread some Elmer's glue onto this piece. Alright, now we put this piece on. First piece is down. There's going to be a piece that goes over all of this, so you're not going to be able to see this portion right here that's kind of sanded down and kind of rough. But color matching on here, I could not find the right color to go paint it, so just going to have to work with it. Okay, and then up next we have to re-glue. Okay, so we got that on. Now we got to do the piece that goes over this. We might have to use super glue on this one. Yeah, I think I'm going to use super glue on this piece just because it's around a curve. Okay, so that one's done. Now we have 10. And then the throttle, I need to cut that off and paint that. That's one thing I forgot to cut off the sprue while we were working on that. So now we have a photo etch piece. Okay, so the first console is done, minus the throttle, which I'll add on later. But moving on to the next one, number 4. Alright, second panel done. Moving right along to this one. Alright. We're almost done with the cockpit tub. We have one more photo etch piece to add onto this one, which is number 45. Just a very tiny little piece. Alright, last piece of the cockpit tub. Alright, so the cockpit tub is all done. I'm going to let these panels set and dry for a few hours before I even do anything else with this cockpit tub, because it's going to take a little while for these panels to really sit into place. So and any little touch can move it just a little bit. So that's going to be set off to the side. Up next, what we have are the front dash panels, these control boxes, and then these up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little break for lunch, and then we'll come right back. We'll get all the rest of it done and then move on. We still have the detail painting on the ejection seats to get done right in here. So the base on the outside is done. I just have the seat cushions and the seat belt and all the other little detail parts that go onto these to get done as well. Then a few other parts, and then we get everything assembled. Actually, I got to do the nose landing gear bay first before we start moving on with everything else, because once that is all done, we close everything up. So we'll get the nose landing gear bay done. We'll go ahead and weather the whole cockpit and everything while we're doing the weathering for the nose gear bay, and then move on from there. So I'll be back in 1 second. Alright, we're back, and I got some work done off camera last night and got the loadout all ready to go. So we got this the easy bars done. I do have a little bit of putty to do on the on connection point right in here, but that shouldn't be too bad to take care of, especially with some Vallejo or easy putty. As you can see, all the detail right in there as well. So again, this is going to look very nice when it's all done. And then we got the fuel tanks done, and these were, I mean, an absolute perfect fit. No issues, no putty required for any of this. It's just a great fit on that. So we got 2 of those, and then we got the one of the ECM pops here. I messed up on taking them off the casting block and then sanding them down, and I could not get the fit right. So I'm definitely going to have a good amount of putty that goes in there to fill in that gap. But I mean, it is looking very good, and a lot better than what the kit part does. So I am going to have some sanding to do, but it's going to look a lot better than what's provided in the kit. Then got the sidewinders done. We got the fins separate, so I can paint those separate, and then also have the remove before flight, the protectors of the seeker heads separate as well, so I can paint those. But those are going to look very nice as well. And then the pièce de résistance is the JPP dispensers right here, and these things are absolutely huge. They are measuring in at almost 8 inches in total length, right? So I mean, these things are massive, and all the detail on them, and when they get painted up and detailed with all the decals, and then you can see all the panel lines in here, these are going to look absolutely amazing on the bottom of it. So I'm definitely going to have to put a mirror under this to show this off as well. And we got 2 of these as well. So moving on, yesterday we finished the cockpit tub with the 3D printed decals on here. Those are sitting down pretty nice on there. So got that done. Now we're on to the front dashboard, which I gotta get everything out of this little bin right here. Get the front dashboard out, and we're gonna be doing just the same thing as yesterday, treating it like a decal, and then just working around. I do have a couple photo etch levers to put on here, and I'm hoping that they don't fall off when I put those on. So let's get started. Alright, so the front dash is done, minus the photo etch levers that go on there, but I'm going to wait until this is actually fully set and cured before I start adding that stuff in. And also I want to get this piece on there before I add those as well, so I'm not moving around with a bunch of other little pieces later on. So I'm going to set this off to the side, let that dry for a little while, and then after that's all done, we will continue on. Now we do have a piece that broke off here, but it's an easy fix. Just a quick run through some super glue and then reattach that and let that set and dry. Okay, definitely gonna have to do some touch-ups on that piece right there because we have some photo etch showing up, but shouldn't be too difficult to take care of. Now what's up next is we are going to get that piece that goes on the front dash. We do have a little 3D printed decal that goes on this face right in here. Just like that, and then again setting this off to the side to let that fully cure before I attach that to the main dashboard. So up next we have the back seaters, instrument panel, and some of the boxes that they have on that. So let's pull that stuff out. First we're going to start with the main one right here. So someplace over time, I have lost 2 of the 3D printed decals. They have just popped off of the sheet. This one goes on to this tiny piece right here, and then this one goes on this face right here. So again, I honestly don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to see. Alright, so those parts that are missing decals for now, as long as I can't find them, which is not looking like I'm going to be able to, because I have no idea when I lost them or where they would be. So I guess those pieces are just going to be SOL, and I'm hoping only you guys and me will notice that they are missing. So oops, but yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and get done with what we have. I can't believe that happened. Kind of one of the downsides about the 3D printed decals are they are resin on them, so they do break off the sheet rather easily. You really don't even have to soak them, but bending the paper, you risk breaking any of them. So that's the way I like to do it. And yeah, so I guess what we're going to do is we're just going to take care of the ones that we have. Some folding on these, but got that taken care of. So yeah, so this piece can go back in there. I checked the kit, there's no decals in place to cover those pieces up, because I would have used that as a backup. But I'm kind of SOL on that, so no real biggie. Yeah, and luckily they're in small, minus the one that's on this block right here, but still it's kind of I'm not 100% worried about it. It's not really going to be that noticeable on that. So while we're waiting for that stuff to dry, I'm going to go ahead and get this piece glued in, get a couple of the pieces glued in. pieces done. Alright, so up next we just have some detail painting of this aft bulkhead and the ejection seats, and then we have to put a, well, with these being 3D printed decals, let's see how they feel. So yeah, we can just apply those straight too. We don't have to worry about putting a clear coat over everything before those decals. Alright, so I'm going to get off of here and I'm going to go ahead and start painting all this right in here. And when I get back, all this will be painted. The decals on the sides will be put on, and we will be ready for a clear coat on everything just to protect everything and seal everything in. And then we'll be moving on to assembling the cockpit and getting all that done. So I'll be back in 1 second when all of this is done. Alright, and we're back, and it is Tornado Thursday, so it's time to wrap up part 1 of the Panavia Tornado build. So far what we've gotten done is pretty much the cockpit is ready for weathering. I just literally finished putting on the glass work for some of the television faces right here. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but you can definitely tell that there's glass work on top of it. So, and all these parts are not glued in yet, but we have finished the ejection seats on primary right here and gotten all of that in. The back bulkhead and the rear seat control is glued in, but that is it. I still have the front instrument panel not glued in, and the ejection seats also are not glued in. So all that's done, and then a bunch of other little parts to go in here. So up next for part 2, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be weathering the cockpit, getting that done. Then we need to do the nose landing gear section, getting that all done. And then after that, probably to close up part 2, we'll probably be closing up the front section right here and getting that all done. I'll probably move forward in the instructions and get all the pieces that go onto here, like the guns and the nose and everything, glued on that, so that way when the tail section is done, I can just move in and pop this thing in right here. So everything is done on that, and we are ready to move on to part 2. I hope you guys enjoyed part 1 of this, and I hope you follow along for part 2 and all the other parts of this. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment, and do all the other good stuff down below. And I hope to see you next time. Until next time, have a great day, stay frosty, and happy modeling.